keep remaking this video, and it's been about a week since I decided I wanted to make this. I've been trying to articulate it in the best way imaginable, but now I'm at the point where this is the final take. I've decided that I'm just going to put some gameplay in the background and try my best to articulate this idea. So, I have the idea that's complicated to work on, but in reality, the idea itself is simple. I've already started creating the stories. I've already started creating the context. I've been working on that portion for about 2 years. And I'm not going to go into any detail on my life and all these other things in this video. But there's more than 2 years of information on that. Now, the main reason I'm making this video in particular is because there are people I would just love to work with to create things. And I'm going to say a couple names. Demetrious Johnson, right? That's for this video specifically. But then there's people like Aurora, the music artist, you know. The reason I want to work with her is because I have stories that I want to make, stuff like that. Then people like Billie Eilish, Miley Cyrus. I have some game ideas I want to make. Have Miley Cyrus do a movie, right? Then there's Will Smith. I have different movie ideas. I even wrote a spec script for Hancock 2. That's on my email. I might make a video about that eventually, but, you know, for this video specifically, what I really want to talk about with Demetrious Johnson is that I'm interested in learning fighting. I used to be interested in actually fighting, but eventually my health declined and years went on and all these different things. So I started thinking about ideas and I started thinking about more and more things.
Speak up. Here we are.
And the culmination of what I'm trying to bring to Demetrious Johnson's attention is that there's so much about fighting, there's so much about education, there's so much about reality that we really could fit into video games and have a subsection or subgenre where if you want to learn something, right, you could go look at a game and then the game can literally have an interactive form of that subject matter. And it annoys me so much that we don't have more media designed in a way where, like, okay, you have this little character model and you can see them do the thing. You can see them do the animation of the thing, and then you can watch it. And then after you watch it, you can actually use a character and you walk around and the character can do whatever it is you saw them do. And since I don't know a lot of fighting moves, I'm going to talk about cartwheel, right? You can create a cartwheel. You can create every single way a cartwheel can be done. And then you can have this character do a cartwheel. You could choose which cartwheel you want them to do. And then it can have like a narrator that explains how you do a cartwheel. How do you do a cartwheel? You lean your body, you rotate, right? You balance, you do blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like this is like, it annoys me so much that we don't have tons of technology that has things in this way. And the reason I'm talking about this is because with my stories that I've been making, right, the whole idea is that there are these characters, they have magical powers and stuff, but the way they interact with the world, they just have inventions and all these different things that if you had it in real life, you'd be like, oh yeah, actually I could use that, I could do that, oh, that would be nice. Right? So that's another aspect of what I want to accomplish with my stories. But, I don't want to dive too deep into that. And I would love if, like, I could just sit down with people like Demetrious Johnson, Miley Cyrus, Elon Musk, you know, all these people who have way more capability of actually working on this idea than I do.
I am honored.
And if we could just work on creating this, like, I already know this would be a very lucrative thing. It would be something where, let's say you're teaching people how to fight, right? This is focused on Demetrious Johnson. Let's say you're teaching people how to fight, right? And then you have this game, right? You could potentially have the game on sale wherever you're at for like 20, 30 bucks, right? And then the whole point is that they take the game after they've done the classes, they've done the lessons. Now they can see different situations that these attacks and all these different things can be used in. And then they can throw themselves into another situation because the game will have enemies, the game will have missions, it'll have levels, and then it'll have understanding and breakdowns of, okay, you would use certain attacks in this situation, you would do this for this reason. This can help people learn self-defense. It's just so much potential within game design, so much potential within, all these different things. And then even deeper into this idea, right? Clothing, right? There could be so much potential with clothing within this because you could have all these different designs, and then the player can go in and edit the outfits and change it up based on the materials and the things in the game. And then situations like, let's say, a sandstorm could be made into the game where sandstorms happen at a certain location. Well, now you can have a little breakdown of fabrics and what's good in the desert and what's, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much potential in this fucking idea. There's just so much ability to create something that people could use for education. Right now, I'm thinking like, okay, if I made this game, if I brought this game to the thinking people, if we made this game, blah, 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 right? You could potentially have where the game has a story, right? And then each version of the game has all this different information, all these different situations, all these different combat styles, all this different stuff. And each game focuses on different types, right? So one game will focus on karate, martial arts, yada, yada, yada. One other game will focus on wrestling, martial arts, yada, yada, yada. Another game will focus on, whatchamacallit? I don't know enough to understand what type of martial arts this is, but when you have like dancing in the martial art, where it's like capoeira, break dancing, right? So that would be a purpose to that type of game, right? But then the other purpose, the sub-purpose within having each game focus on fighting styles is, okay, let's say everyone has bought the boxing game, but they didn't buy the other ones. So there would be one game that's online, right? And instead of microtransactions, you could buy one of the previous games, right? And then certain data would load up to your console, and then you could use those fighting styles based on if you bought the previous games. So if you bought the boxing games in the main online game, now you unlock the boxing style, and all that comes with the boxing style. And if you don't buy the previous game, right, and play through the previous game and unlock all these different things, well, now you have to actually grind it out and unlock it in that other version of the game. And as you can see, this is a pretty complicated idea. I've come up with like 3 or 4 games, and they're all meant to be, like a building up type of thing. And then there's the online game. But for the idea that I'm displaying, that I'm talking about in this video, it's more geared towards these fighting styles. And this idea is just so deep. I'm getting around to the end of the video, but this idea is just so deep. Even things like the medical field, the things like doctors, right? It could be simulated to this degree. It could have all these different things, all these different versions of games. It could have all this stuff. It could be like, okay, you're in this war-torn town and there's a mafia, but you're a doctor. Boom, now it gets all that medical information in the game, and you can do this you can do these different medical mini games, but then sometimes you have to go out and you have to shoot people and you have to do crimes yourself, because that would be the game design. Right? So that way it could tell you about the medical field, it could tell you about crime, it could tell you about investigations, because guess what? It would also have police in the game, right? And the reason I'm talking about all of this is because we have these games that are 100 fucking gigabytes. It has none of this level of information and education, and able to just be something that shows you how the world works and allows you to have all these different experiences along with it being a game. But I'm just on this journey of learning things. I'm learning coding, I'm doing art, I enjoy learning languages. See if you could understand or look up which languages I'm talking about. Privet, Origato, dang, I can't think of all the languages that I be thinking about right now, just how to say hello in them. But I say those two because they're mainly the ones that I can just come to mind and think of the letters and all those things. I learned those two the most. And what I've been realizing is there's just so much potential on this planet. There's so much ability to build and grow, and you know what I mean? It's just people choose to do these weird ways of doing things instead of also doing the stuff that works best, also doing the things that would create the most opportunities for people. And what I see is a way for technology and video game design and storytelling to be used to its maximum capacity, right? Like, I see that nowadays, modern day time, we have that potential, and it's just the average person doesn't see that potential. I'm not mad at people for that. I understand that we can't fight every battle, we can't win every war, we can't do everything to the extent and the purpose of which would help all people of all existence for all time. I know that that's impossible. But the way I view it, we're not even doing the little bit right that we could be doing right. And over the years, I started to realize that what I'm talking about is just, it's too intelligent, right? Like, it's too high of a realm of thought for the average person to view and see all the information I've witnessed through my life and then sit down and be like, oh, actually, we could be doing this. Otherwise, a lot of what I mentioned in this video would already exist, and we would already be doing it in a way where I wouldn't have to sit back and be like, dang, I wish this was here on this planet. And I would honestly give anything that I have right now. I don't really have much to work with people on creating these different ideas and creating these different things. You know what I mean? And I'm coming around to the end of the video. I just wanted to really talk about this and express it. I just really wanted to get it out there that I want to do these things. Like, I truly do want to do just this. Maybe, blow some women's back out while I'm doing it, you know what I mean? But other than that, there's not much else that I want to do other than these things, you know what I mean? It's just, it's all expensive, and you need the right people to help